Breaking news, firefighters continue to battle a large brush fire. But first, the latest on the severe weather hitting Florida right now. Here's Chris Wynn live with the latest.
And many communities in Florida are now dealing with flooding, especially along the coast. We're live in Daytona Beach, where you can see behind me some of the roads are closed to the public. The power is out. This as Florida tries to dry out from Hurricane Nicole.
The waves just keep on coming.
Nicole is on the move after becoming the first hurricane to make U.S. landfall in November in nearly 40 years. The storm system weakening as it goes north.
Dangerous beach conditions will continue along the East Coast as a result of elevated tides.
The threat of severe weather now stretching across at least 3 states. Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina bracing for possible tornadoes. Destructive wind and rain embedded within Nicole's outer bands. South Carolina already seeing the effects as streets in Charleston begin to flood.
A coastal flood warning shall remain into effect as seas are expected to remain 2 to 3 feet above normal levels.
Back in Florida, the damage is widespread. Some homes and buildings are collapsing into the ocean, triggering evacuations. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power. Flights are canceled. Schools shut down. And in Lauderdale by the Sea, this portion of a pier partially collapsed.
There's still some wind and rain happening out there. There's really no reason to be out there. Please take care of each other.
But officials say it could have been worse, saying Nicole's peak winds coincided with low tide, which limited the storm surge and flooding on the shore, sparing some beach communities.
It's safe to say that we dodged a bullet here in Indian River County. We're pleased that we have not received any reports of damage at this time.
And tonight, more than 270,000 homes and businesses remain without power. We've also learned of 2 storm-related deaths in Orange County. Live from Daytona Beach, I'm Chris Wynn. Back to you.
We have even more breaking news coming into the H&N Digital Center right now.
Honolulu police responded to a home on Hala Drive in Kalihi this morning after a report of a possible explosive at the home. Now, officers arrived on scene at around 6, along with bomb technicians with the Specialized Services Division. Now, nearby residents had to be evacuated. HPD is holding a media availability about the investigation and will bring those details to you online and in our later newscast. Meanwhile, a brush fire continues to burn in West Maui. Residents in the Launiu Poku subdivision have been warned they may need to evacuate, and firefighters are battling the blaze in Kauaula Valley. Now, we're told dozens of volunteers have been digging fire breaks and clearing out dry brush. The 4 schools that were closed yesterday, however, were allowed to reopen today. Now, we are awaiting an update from MFD on how many acres have burned so far, but at last check, the fire scorched 1,200 acres and was 40% contained.
Now we want to get to a brand new update regarding the tainted water crisis. New today, more legal action in the aftermath of the Red Hill drinking water crisis. Today, there's an amended lawsuit against the U.S. government over health issues stemming from the tainted water. In the initial filing this past summer, there was about a dozen plaintiffs, but now this new complaint adds more than 100 new plaintiffs who say they were affected by the contamination. The lawsuit says on top of physical pain and suffering, these plaintiffs are also dealing with mental anguish, emotional distress, and lost income. This lawsuit comes a day after the CDC and the state health department reported lingering health problems since the fuel spill.
We just learned President Biden will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Monday in a high-stakes sit-down meeting. Now, this comes as China's leader has said that he wants his military to focus all their attention on preparation for wars. Ivan Watson has the latest from Hong Kong.
China's leader Xi Jinping paid a visit to a military command center this week, and he was dressed in combat fatigues and bringing a message that he repeated just weeks ago at the Communist Party Congress, where he secured a precedent-breaking third term in office. And that is that he believes that the threats to China's national security are growing. As he put it in front of the assembled top brass, the instability and uncertainty of China's security situation has increased, and he told the officers assembled there that his visit was aimed at getting them to enhance military training and preparation for war. Now, one of the most obvious potential flashpoints for China is the island of Taiwan, which has governed itself for generations, but which Beijing views as essentially a breakaway province. Now, the Chinese government has been infuriated in recent months by visits from top-level U.S. government officials to Taiwan, and in response, it has stepped up flights of warplanes around the island. When asked what he would do if China attacked Taiwan, President Biden has several times said that he would defend Taiwan. That also infuriates the Chinese government. For his part this week, President Biden on Wednesday at a press conference said he expects to meet Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Bali next week. He says the two leaders will discuss trade. He would not specify what his message regarding Taiwan would be, but he did say this meeting would be an opportunity for the leaders of the world's two largest economies to define their red lines. Ivan Watson, CNN, Hong Kong.
Japanese arrivals fell to 967 yesterday after 12 straight days of over 1,000 arrivals. Since November began, we've gotten only 23% of 2019 arrivals. But meager though that is, that's actually the best percentage increase of the year to date. New today, geolocation data is offering new insight on Hawaii tourism. Here's Casey Lund to explain.
Aloha from Waikiki. We want to break down some of the top points of interest across the state. This is geolocation data gathered by the Hawaii Tourism Authority to see where people are going and who's going there. Take a look at these top 6 points of interest from the month of September. The dark blue representing residents of Hawaii, and then the lighter blue are non-residents or visitors. And you might expect Kalakaua, number 1, the most visited place in the state, followed by Kailua Town, Upcountry Maui, Chinatown, Ala Moana Shopping Center, and finally Ko'olina on the west side. What's interesting is that all of these top 6 places are mostly being visited by residents. We asked tourism industry expert and UH professor Dr. Jerry Agrusa why those numbers are still skewed towards residents in places like Waikiki and Ala Moana Center. He says we still haven't seen a big return of shopping visitors.
We have the tourist, and they are spending more money. And, they're mostly from U.S. mainland. And we have a trickle of international visitors that have come in the last 2-3 months. But we still haven't had that wave of specifically Japanese, which is our number 1 international market by far. In 2019, we had 1.6 million Japanese for the year of 2019. 1.6 million. We're in the thousands this month. So it's not even close. We're not even 10%.
And speaking of the Japanese visitor market, take a look at this. You can see how far those numbers have fallen. Just about 24,000 visitors in the month of September 22. That's an 83% drop from 2019, the pre-pandemic numbers. I talked to Jerry Agrusa about why it still may be a while until we see a large number of Japanese visitors return.
A lot of the Japanese book their travel 6 months in advance. And because 6 months ago, there was still lockdowns. Number 2 is the yen. The yen is just, the American dollar is just so powerful. Last Sunday, it was 150 yen to the dollar. It should be 110 yen to the dollar. So you've got this exchange rate that has just gone way out of control for them.
And finally, a look at the top domestic markets. Visitors coming from the U.S. mainland to Hawaii. No surprise there that California has the biggest numbers. Of course, that is the shortest direct flight to the islands. But one thing that's interesting to note here, those low numbers that we saw from New York, though it's still pretty high on the list compared to other states, still only 11,000 people came here in September 2022. Jerry Agrusa says that could change this winter when we could see a surprise bump from visitors on the East Coast.
Because a lot of folks were already planning to do their winter trip down to warm, were going into the Caribbean. You saw a number of hurricanes that hit, especially the big one that hit Florida a few weeks ago, and today's another hurricane warning. And the hurricane season is really, really high in the Caribbean. And people are saying, you know what? I'll pay a little extra. I'll fly a little longer, and I'll go to a place where I don't have to worry about a hurricane.
You may ask why any of this really matters. Well, those numbers can really help state leaders and other businesses and community organizations plan better, make sure that we're managing those locations and taking care of the environment. We have all that data online. You can find a link on this story at hawaiinewsnow.com. Reporting in Waikiki, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Hawaii's House of Representatives will have 16 new members, the biggest freshman class in 2 decades. Among the underdogs who won, attorney Kanani Souza, a Republican representing Kapolei and Makakilo. She beat a better financed and union-backed Democratic incumbent, Stacelyn Eli.
The number one issue was crime, and second was cost of living. Generally, their main issue was they're tired of business as usual at the state legislature.
I mean, it's great to see that kind of turnover. I mean, that's what elections are supposed to produce, is new faces in a legislature.
Our cameras were there last night at the state capitol as the last 10,000 ballots from Oahu were counted, deciding the fate of a state Senate seat on the North Shore in District 23. Republican and former news anchor Brenton Awa pulling off an upset, defeating 8-year incumbent State Senator Gil Riviere by nearly 400 votes.
Last October, before I even announced, I had already walked 11,000 homes. And then I did that over and over again. It's like my whole life. I was taught, never give up. Here we are.
In District 22 on Oahu's west side, incumbent State Senator Maile Shimabukuro defeated Republican Samantha DeCourt by less than 100 votes, triggering an automatic recount. Republicans are expected to add 4 new members to the House, adding to the 2 members they already have. And joining the Honolulu City Council, attorney Matt Wire representing Mililani Mauka and North Shore neighborhoods. Construction industry lobbyist Tyler Dos Santos Tam will represent the downtown area. Meanwhile, a number of key races are still undetermined on the mainland. We're still waiting to hear which party will control the House and which party will control the Senate. Natalie Brand has more.
Counting the remaining ballots in Nevada could last into next week, as the Silver State's razor-thin Senate race is still a toss-up. Most of those votes are coming in from the Las Vegas area.
Mail can come through until this Saturday, as long as it's postmarked by November 8th. And we will continue to pick up mail on a daily basis.
Elections officials in Arizona are also still processing results. The Democratic incumbent is leading in that race, but it's still too early to call. In Georgia, Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker has a rally scheduled for this evening. He and Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock are campaigning once again ahead of their December 6th runoff election.
The balance of power in the U.S. Senate is still unknown. Control of the U.S. House leans Republican, but it's much closer than predicted, with winners in some battleground districts still undetermined.
Regardless of what the final tally in these elections show, and there's still some counting going on, I'm prepared to work with my Republican colleagues.
President Biden also told reporters Wednesday he intends to run in 2024.
I don't feel any hurry one way or another to make that judgment, today, tomorrow, or whenever, no matter what my predecessor does.
Former President Trump has hinted at an announcement next week, but allies say they're urging him to postpone it until after the Georgia Senate runoff. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Back here live in the H&N Digital Center. As you just saw, we're following a number of breaking news stories here at Hawaii News Now today, so keep checking those H&N digital platforms for updates. And a reminder, we are streaming now all the way to 1 o'clock daily on weekdays. You just need to check out your H&N digital platforms right after This Is Now. We pick it back up and keep going, giving you updates all afternoon long. Like this one. Check it out. Here's a live look at First Alert radar getting a close view at exactly where Tropical Storm Nicole is at this hour, moving sort of in this sort of eastern panhandle side. A lot of people watching this, keeping a close eye, as you just saw in our top story, some homes already being damaged, and there are reported deaths because of this storm. Let's get a check of our weather. Here's Guy Hoggy.
So look at Kauai right now, beautiful. These are friends over in Timbers. Look how beautiful that is, right in the Wili Wili. And that's what we're gonna see today. Beautiful conditions out there. Again, we could use rain, especially for that brush fire in Lahaina. We're not gonna get much rain, but we will get breezy winds through the weekend. We will have a few more windward and Mauka showers Friday night into Saturday morning, but we're still expecting lots of leeward sunshine. So things are looking very, very good, especially nice for Veterans Day tomorrow.
There's good and bad news on inflation. A new report shows overall consumer prices are rising at the slowest rate since January, but food prices remain very high, which means this year's Thanksgiving feast is gonna be expensive. Bradley Blackburn explains.
Fossil Farms in New Jersey is busy packing up and shipping out fresh turkeys.
How many turkeys are you going to sell this year, you think? Over 10,000. 10,000? Over 10,000.
Ben Del Coro is the VP of Marketing and says a number of factors are making prices higher this year.
With poultry, it was really compounding. So we had fuel prices that were on the rise early in the year. We had grain prices that went through the roof, and then we had avian flu.
An avian flu outbreak has killed millions of turkeys nationwide, leading to lower supplies.
The latest numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show turkey costs almost 17% more than a year ago.
And grocery staples are on the rise. Eggs are up a whopping 43%, butter nearly 27%, and potatoes are 15% higher.
Unfortunately, I think the cost of food will remain high for both Thanksgiving and Christmas Hanukkah season.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the latest figures also show housing costs still climbing at a rapid pace. But within the report, there are signs of improvement. Overall, prices are slowing, a sign the Federal Reserve's interest rate increases are working to cool off the economy.
At the December meeting, the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates probably by 0.5 percentage point, not by 0.75%. And the reason is that they are going to be happy with the results of this particular report.
Schlesinger says prices could continue to trend lower, but it will be some time before inflation drops from the current rate of 7.7% to the Fed's target rate of just 2%. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Boonton, New Jersey.
All right, let's see what the internet is buzzing about today on this almost Friday. I'm excited about this one. All right, I love me a Frosty. And Wendy's has announced a sweet offering for this holiday season. The fast food chain has added a new flavored Frosty to its menu for a limited time, of course. Starting Tuesday, peppermint flavored Frosties will be available to order. Peppermint is Wendy's third new Frosty flavor in the past 16 years. Wow. It replaces strawberry, which I've never had, but should hurry up and try, that it introduced over the summer. I stick with vanilla.
Yeah, peppermint could go either way. It could be like toothpaste, or it could be great.
Yeah, and also I actually am one of those fry dippers, dip, and I don't think peppermint's gonna work dipping French fries in. No.
Well, this is pretty cool. To honor our military on Veterans Day, McDonald's of Hawaii is offering vets and active duty service members free breakfast sandwiches tomorrow. Now, the offer is only valid during breakfast hours, which at most locations is until 10:30, and all you need is a military or veteran ID. Active duty military can just wear their uniform to McDonald's. So you can redeem the offer at the drive-thru or takeout only, and no purchase is necessary.
Awesome. Happy Veterans Day to all that served.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is really cool. A large section of the destroyed Space Shuttle Challenger has been found buried in sand at the bottom of the Atlantic. more than 3 decades after the tragedy that killed 7 astronauts, including Ellison Onizuka from the Big Island. Now, NASA's Kennedy Space Center says it's one of the biggest pieces of the Challenger found since the accident. It's more than 15 feet by 15 feet and believed to be from the shuttle's belly. Now, divers from a TV documentary spotted the piece in March just off Florida near Cape Canaveral while looking for wreckage of a World War II plane. NASA verified through video a few months ago that the piece was part of the shuttle that broke apart shortly after liftoff on January 28, 1986. The families of all 7 Challenger crew members have been notified about the discovery.
Wow, that is amazing video. All right, let's talk about one more story from outer space. New images from James Webb Telescope.
That's right, another mind-blowing image from that
wow.
telescope. This one gives us a special view of a dwarf galaxy not so far away. Now, it's a collection of stars called Wolf Landmark Melody, which is only 3 million light years from our home galaxy, the Milky Way. Now, the galaxy is about 1/10 of the size of the Milky Way, and according to NASA, the WLM galaxy is intriguing to astronomers because it has remained largely isolated, and it bears a similar chemical makeup to galaxies in the early universe.
Who's naming these things?
I know. It's
right?
probably last names or something.
Okay. If I ever get a chance, I'm just going to go with like John, Bob, something like
The
that.
John Bob galaxy.
Yeah, why not? Make it simple for people like us. Just have to read it. That's why I gave you that one. All right, guys. Good news now. This is really cool. TV's #1 show, I didn't even know it was the #1 show
neither.
until I saw this report. Yellowstone,
Yeah.
returning to TV for the 5th season, Paramount Plus. Let's turn things over to Kevin Frazier with a preview.
Hey, aloha, Jonathan. You know, the Dutton family is back and a lot has changed, so we met with the cast to get their take on what will be another explosive season down on the ranch.
What are 3 words you would use to describe season 5?
Keeps getting better. Compelling, riveting, extraordinaire.
Burn it down.
Ruin them, starting with her.
What you gonna do first? What do you think I'm gonna do?
This season, Kevin Costner's the man with all the power.
John Dutton taking over the governor's house. If Kevin Costner were to run for office, what kind of politician do you think he would be?
I think he'd be great. He's an empathetic man. I think he's a good listener.
Well, I guess he'd be, you know, a gentle leader.
I mean, he is everyone's knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
I mean.
Swoon.
I, Rick Wheeler, take Beth Dutton to be my lawful wedded bride.
Another big change, Cole Hauser and Kelly Riley's characters tied the knot.
Rip is officially off the market, ladies and gents.
Yeah, he's been off the market for a while.
Y'all finally got married.
A little shotgun wedding.
Is it going to be wedded bliss for you and Beth?
It's never really bliss, you know.
Fans can also expect to see new faces, including 1883's Don Oliveri and country star Lainey Wilson.
I'm so excited that I'm getting to join this season. I'm going to be playing a musician named Abby, but I'm pretty much going to be myself.
And make sure you tune into ET tonight because we're partying in Nashville with country music's finest at the CMA Awards. For Entertainment Tonight, I'm Kevin Frazier.
And everyone's talking about this. So Hawaii's Jason Momoa was on Jimmy Kimmel Live last night, and fans got more than just a lesson on traditional Hawaiian clothing. Check this out. So that's Aquaman showing off his malo, or for our mainland viewers, a traditional Hawaiian loincloth. Momoa told Kimmel that he wears one almost every day for his series on Apple TV, Chief of War, and that he actually prefers it over actual clothing. So when Kimmel asked Momoa if he was wearing one during the interview, well, there you go.
The rest is history.
There you go.
All right, our stream continues on your H&N digital platforms coming up in about 6 minutes. Have a good one.